Theo Park, casting director for Ted Lasso. I understand you got this job via another great casting director, Alison Jones. So how did she hook you up?
Alison Jones is the best. We're friends, and she's always suggesting me for parts. I only ever get the part because she suggested me for it. Yeah, I'm so lucky, so fortunate.
So she just like called up like you and said like Jason Sudeikis has got a show.
Exactly that. Jason called her and said, I'm doing this show in London. Who's the person I need to cast my show in London? And she said, Theo Park. And then she emailed me and said, Jason's just talked to me about you. Expect an email. And sure enough, I did. And that was it. And then I did a Skype with him, and he talked me through the pitch and the concept. And, you know, I was just so lucky to get it.
Well, obviously he and Brendan Hunt, who co-created the show, were already cast in the show in those roles. But I guess, you know, the next biggest role was Rebecca. So how did you guys find Hannah Waddingham?
Yeah, we started there. We saw lots of women actually for that part, and I have to say, Hannah came into it quite late. And you know, hats off to Brendan. She was actually Brendan's idea, and we were like, oh my god, yes! And then she read with Jason, and she was totally perfect.
How did Brendan think of her?
I can't remember. Do you know what? I think it was a friend of his who suggested, because he was saying, we've seen all these amazing women and no one's quite right. Da, 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 da. And then a friend of his suggested, and he was like, hey, what about Hannah Waddingham? And we're like, oh my god. You know, it was just one of those light bulb moments. But you know, it's a proper collaboration. I'm not going to say that you know, as a casting director, I'm always the first person to think of people, because I'm not.
Yeah. It's just like everyone's suggesting someone, but I think it was like such great casting because, you know, she's so funny, and she's like this like ice queen, and I don't think people like knew her for comedy, and then like eventually after a couple of weeks people were like, oh my god, she's the Shame Nun from Game of Thrones.
That's right. Yeah, she's a really well-established theatre actress, actually, and she's not known for her comedy, no. But I knew she was funny because when she came in for that, I was working with Nina Gold at the time when she was casting Game of Thrones, and I was helping out. And I remember Hannah came in for that audition for that hilariously scary role of the Scepter, but she came in and she was so hilarious in the audition because she was like 8 months pregnant, but she made such fun of it in between takes. So we always knew she was so fabulous. So yeah, it's so great that she's been able to show her range in this role.
Mm-hmm. That's so funny that you were casting Game of Thrones, and then it's almost like full circle.
Yeah, well, I was helping Nina when her and Robert Stern were casting it. Yeah, that's how I started my career, working with Nina Gold. Yeah.
Nice. Well, in that same vein, were you just kind of looking for people with like a facility for drama and comedy, and maybe also like casting against type, because like Juno Tempo also isn't really known for comedy, but she's so funny on the show.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually one of Jason's main ethos. His ethos is the comedy. You don't have to. We don't necessarily have to have comedians, because the comedy comes from the situation and the writing, and it really does work. So we're actually, a lot of the people are dramatic actors, just doing an amazing job, and the comedy comes from that.
Well, on a project like this, where it's based around, you know, a skill or a talent, like a soccer or football, ideally you want actors who can play soccer. So what were you looking for when you were casting the players? Like a good actor who can play soccer, or who can be taught to play soccer, or like a good soccer player who may not have had the best audition or something?
It was both. They had to be really good actors and play football really well. So it was tricky, but we got there, and it was really exciting to see these actors who I knew show me their amazing football skills. It was great fun.
How did they audition? Was it a lot of like self-tape with them like kicking around
Yeah.
the ball or like in person?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we did some of the smaller roles. We did actually ask them to come to the office, and we'd we'd tape them, like do keepy uppies up in our car park. Or but then one day, one of the girls kicked the ball. She wasn't as good as she told us she was, and she kicked the ball and she smashed the window of the opposite office, which we had to pay for. So we were like, oh, we don't think we'll do that anymore. So most of the auditions for the footballing were self-tapes. So the guys and girls would go out and, to the local park with their mates and get, just an iPhone, just showing us their skills. It was excellent.
So who had the best football skills? Not that girl, obviously.
Not that girl. No. Oh well, hands down, it was Cristo Fernandez, because he's actually an ex professional football player from Mexico who turned his hand to acting.
as many athletes have done.
Yeah. I mean, how amazing that he exists and we got to cast him in this show.
He's so good as Danny. Like, it's such like a fun part. But the other thing is, like, what was the casting breakdown like for these players? Like, how fleshed out were these roles?
Well, actually, a lot of the footballer, the team, it was all quite fluid, because originally we were looking for the part of Danny Rojas. Was originally, he was supposed to be from Mexico or somewhere in South America, and he was supposed to be the star player, the arrogant, backstabby star player. But then, because we met Phil Dunster, who was so perfect but is obviously English, we changed the roles. But during the Danny Rojas search, we got this fantastic tape from this Mexican actor called Cristo Fernandez, and then the writers were just so bowled over that they rewrote another part for him, and then switched the name Danny Rojas to him. So it was quite fluid and really exciting that we could do that the talent of the actors made it all we could change it around.
That's, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you want, right? Where you find like the right person, and like the creators are open-minded enough to adapt, or like you want them so badly that like you're willing to adapt like the role.
Yeah. And they are, the team on Ted Lasso are really open to that, and just really they're really into talent, and that was exciting.
Mm-hmm. And so what was it about like Phil's audition that made you like want to be like, we need this guy too?
So good. He's just so good at being an asshole.
It's true. But like, you like him. You still like him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just so talented. Yeah.
I love all his press conferences when he's like holding up like the beer and like everything.
It's so funny. He's brilliant. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So are you working on season 2 right now?
Yeah, I've been doing it for 6 months. We're nearly finished. Touch wood. We've got one more episode shooting. We finished the end of May.
Mm-hmm. And I know Sarah Niles has been cast. What can you tell us about her character and any other new people we might meet?
I don't know if I can tell you. I know that she's been announced, so we are allowed to talk about her, but I don't know if I can tell you much about her role. But I've been a massive fan of Sarah Niles for years, so I'm so excited that everyone agreed with me. We got her in. And then other roles, well, I can tell you that we are bringing back a lot of people from season 1. Even those blink and you'll miss them types that the fans might think, oh, that's exciting, they're back. We're bringing back as many people as we can.
Okay, nice. So maybe we'll see his family again. I take it from your teasers.
I mean, it's been a scheduling nightmare. Don't get me wrong, but very exciting all the same.
Nice. Can't wait to see it. Theo, thank you so much for your time. It was great speaking with you. And we'll see you back in a little bit.